I'm looking at you all and I'm thinking I'm a bit underdressed because most of you are dressed, and I'm talking to you all in a dressing gown. But fear not, I've taken a leaf from Ian Brown's book and I'm wearing a tie. So today I am bringing you Hebrews 9:23-28, and I'm reading from the Good News Bible. And here it goes. Those things which are copies of the heavenly originals had to be purified in that way. But the heavenly things themselves require much better sacrifices. For Christ did not go into a man-made holy place, which was a copy of the real one. He went into heaven itself, where he now appears on our behalf in the presence of God. The Jewish priest goes into the most holy place every year with the blood of an animal. But Christ did not go in to offer himself many times, for then he would have had to suffer many times ever since the creation of the world. Instead, now when all ages of time are nearing the end, he has appeared once and for all to remove sin through the sacrifice of himself. Everyone must die once, and after that be judged by God. In the same way, same manner, Christ also was offered in sacrifice, once to take away the sins of many. He will appear a second time, not to deal with sin, but to save those who are waiting for him. Now, I feel I've been set a hard task here, because the writer of Hebrews has been banging on about how Christ is a new and better version of the Jewish high priest since chapter 7, when we were introduced to Melchizedek. And not only is he the high priest, but he is the sacrifice too, a perfect sacrifice that only needs to be done once, not many times. Every thing in the Jewish sacrificial system is but a poor copy of Jesus' work, which is the real thing. And because it's a perfect sacrifice, it only needs to happen once, not many times, like in the Jewish temple. And the writer of Hebrews is like a preacher who tells you his message and then tells you it again, and then tells you it a third time, just in case you weren't listening the first two times. He believes in repetition and recapitulation, so we're quite sure we know what he's talking about. So it's difficult to know what to add to it. But there is a new idea that is surfacing in this passage, and that is Jesus is coming back. His first visit was to deal with sin. His second visit will be to save those who are waiting for him. And the writer seems to think that this is happening soon. He thinks he's living in a point in history where time is nearing its end. Now, he was wrong about this, because we are still here today. So when you encounter a preacher who tells you Jesus' return is imminent, you are in good company. They are in good company. Most New Testament writers thought the same thing. And so far, they have been wrong. One day, one of these preachers will be right, because Jesus will come back. But his prediction will be more of a matter of luck than judgment, because Jesus himself didn't seem to know the timing of his return. In Matthew 24:36, Jesus says, "No one knows, however, the day and the hour, when the day and the hour will come, neither the angels in heaven nor the Son. The Father alone knows." So, if anyone confidently tells you it's happening soon, they're guessing. And not even Jesus knows. I used to not be a fan of the second coming. I rather like it here and wanted to get a full life in before he returns. As time goes on, I'm more of a fan, mainly because the world is in a bit of a pickle. For most of humanity's existence, we didn't have the power to cause any serious lasting damage to the world we lived in. And now we do. And now we have, and unless something dramatically changes, we'll be living with the consequences of the last 200 years or so of industrialization and technological change. And it's frightening how close we've come to disaster in the last 60, 70 years or so. The other day, I was hearing a sobering story about the Cuban Missile Crisis. At the height of the crisis, a Soviet submarine in the Sargasso Sea thought it was under attack, and its commander was about to give the order to release the nukes. It pressed the button, but for some reason, a searchlight was needed in order to complete the operation, and they couldn't fit it through a hatch. It didn't fit. And in the time they took fiddling around with this searchlight, bought enough time for the commander to realize that he wasn't under attack and he didn't need to release the nukes. And we came that close to the end of the world. We were saved by a mistake. And there's a joke in nuclear arms control that the history of nuclear confrontation gives more evidence that there is a God than the nuclear deterrence actually works. Now we're not only able to destroy the planet many times over with bombs, but we stand a good chance of making it uninhabitable through overconsumption. If temperatures rise as predicted, this planet ain't going to be a fun place to live in anymore in 100 years' time, possibly sooner. So these days, I quite like the idea of Jesus coming back and clearing up the mess before it gets a bit too unpleasant. But I don't think we can just think back and think, don't worry, we can carry on as we like. Jesus is coming back. He's going to sort it all out. For one thing, we don't know the day or the hour. He may not be coming soon. Secondly, if he does come back and sees what a mess we've made, he may have some strong words for us. We were placed in a position of responsibility with regards to his creation, one of guardianship. And this week, we are in a week of national mourning for Prince Philip. And one of the things he was, and he was many things, was passionate about the environment. And he was into it way before it was fashionable. And his passion seems to come from a position of deep Christian faith, a conviction that we had been entrusted by God to be good stewards of creation. And I think he was right about that. Our relationship with the planet is going to be the most important issue facing mankind in the coming years. And for some, and for the most powerful and the most vulnerable, it will become literally a matter of life and death as food and water become more scarce. We have been told by Jesus to love our neighbor. And if our most vulnerable neighbors are the people who are facing the most severe consequences of climate change most soon, we're failing in that command. If Christianity is going to have any relevance in the near future, the church has to take a lead on environmental issues. It's such a big problem that humanity cannot solve it alone. We are sinners and we are selfish, where we need to be selfless. And we need the power of Jesus to achieve what is humanly impossible. Okay, random, ramble, and rant over.